Hi YouTube, welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning with me, ACDodd, and this time we got some Coopers and some mapping. Let's dig in. So, today I'm in Bedford and I've got something a bit special for you. Mark 3S. Very, very nice car, this one. And let's have a look inside. Nice original interior. Rally inspired dash instruments. Very, very nice car. Let's look under the bonnet. Okay, so this is the ubiquitous Cooper S1275 engine. However, it's not your normal engine. So we've got Arrow crankshaft, Arrow conrods, we've got SW5 cam, we've got a stage 3 cylinder head, and it's all made to look standard from the outside. So my job today is to set up those carbs and clearly set up the ignition. So let's dig in. So first things first, got the plugs out, had a quick look at the ignition system, all looks good. Got a CSI with the programmable curves in there. We've got the correct 3 ohm core, which is rated for the CSI. We're running curve 2. I'll obviously check to see what that's actually delivering and where's it set once we run it. Plugs are out, so the first thing we've got to look at is our spark plugs. And as we can see, they're very wet and they're very black. So the first thing I'm going to do here is give them a quick clean, gap them because they're basically brand new plugs, put them back in, and then immediately turn the mixers down on the carbs so we don't continue to soot them up and wash them out. So I've got the engine going now. Plugs all gapped properly. The timing was slightly out, so we're on curve 2 and I'll just advance it only by 3 degrees, so a minor change there. I took the tops off the carbs. We're all pretty good actually, so the owner of this car, you know, knows how to set these up and baseline, so that's really good. The issue that we've got is that we're extremely rich. So if I pick the revs up now, so we're fueling as rich as that. What we're going to do, going to pull those needles out, and then we're going to change them for a set of standard M needles, and hopefully that should lean it right up, and then we can modify these to get that engine to run where it should do. So, got the engine going. I've managed to rein the fueling in on the carburetors by putting a pair of GG needles in it, which is the leanest needles that are made. In reality, I'd still like them a little bit leaner because I'm having to run the idle a little bit lean now. But that's the compromise I'm going to have to make today because they don't literally make any needles leaner than that. So what I'm now going to do is modify the top end of the needle to get fueling in at the top end, because these particular needles are very, very lean at the full power point, and obviously I don't want to run this engine lean. So I'm going to make it fuel the same as before. I've had a discussion with the owner and he explains to me the engine runs very well on the previous needles at full power. So I'm going to replicate those on those needles. So he's got the much leaner part running and then the full power fueling. So let's get that done. Okay, so we're over on the needle lathe, and what we've had to do with this one is these are the GG needles, but obviously we're only just lean enough here, but we were way too lean at this end. So I've basically had to modify this end of the needle, the full power end, to match the needle that was in there previously, because as far as we're led to believe, the engine ran okay. So I've done the pair to match, so let's put them in and see how she runs. So got this one all back together. Had to modify the dampers in the end to make them speed up. We had some 20 weight oil. I've gone down to ATF, modified dampers to reduce the fuel on the accelerator pump effect when you bang your foot in. But she's okay now, and if we pick the revs up now, So if we pick the revs up now and see what the fueling is. What we can see there is, although it's not perfectly lean, it's much leaner than what we had before, and that's as lean as I can make it today. In fact, SU don't make any needles leaner than that. So I've advised the customer in this case that these carbs either need work, or in reality they're a bit small for the specification. So I've advised the customer to think about going up to a pair of HS4s. Anyway, let's get and go out in a test drive and see what he thinks. Just a reminder to let you know that not every owner wants to be on film. Suffice to say, the owner of the S there was very happy with the new running, especially the fact is it was actually running a lot leaner, so obviously it saves the engine. So anytime you've got a car that's running very rich at part throttle, you're just washing the rings out of it. So you know, in this particular case, sometimes you have a set of carbs, especially twins, which doesn't matter what you do, you can't lean them up. So in this case, the signal was a little bit big on these, and potentially the air filter is very restrictive as well. So all that coming together means it's very difficult to get the fueling right. So what I advise there, as I already said, is potentially fit a pair of larger HS4 carburetors, have them tuned with some K&M filters on there, and it will liven the car up no end. The fueling will be much better, and it'll have a lot more power. So next car, RSP. This is number 653. Very nice car. So have a quick look inside. Usual RSP interior, very nice condition. And then under the bonnet, we have another stonking A series. So I've got the air filter off at the moment, but you can see it's got brand new carb, and under here is an A+ engine. And this one's also got Arrow crankshaft, Arrow conrods. And this one's sporting a Swift-Tune SW8 camshaft. So let's dig in and see how we can get this one better. So pulling the spark plugs on this engine, and we see where gap's too big. Although this engine would appear to, on an RSP, have a high power ignition, it's actually been retrofitted with a 3 ohm coil. So those plug gaps at 35 need to be reduced to 25. And obviously we can see evidence of that running rich. So yeah, we need to dial that down a bit. So checked and adjusted the plug gaps. The HT leads are all at just over 2k each. That's all good. The coil matches the distributor. Vacuum unit's all working. So what we're going to do now is start it up and check the advance curve and see what the timing setting's like before we move on to the carburetor. Okay, so moving on to the carburetor, what have we found? Well, this carburetor, although it's new, we've got a problem. It's yet another one with no accelerator pump effect, so we need to look at that. We might need a new damper in that. This one's actually running okay, except it's actually too lean right the way across the rev range. So we're going to dig in there, have a look at the needle, and then see if we find a better one or modify the one that's in it. So just having a look at the damper issue. I've tried a thick grade of oil in there and it made no difference. So we've got to replace that damper so that starts working. So the accelerator pump starts working. This is not the first one I found. I think if you look back at the demonstration I did last year at, or a couple of years ago at the Riviera run, that video it's got the same fault on a new SU. So again, just because it's new doesn't mean to say it's working properly, so you have to check these things out. In terms of what we got here, we've got a yellow spring, and I can tell that without even looking at it by the way that that's sitting, and we've also got a BBC needle, which with that air filter on that is going to be way too rich at the top end. So I'm going to dial that back a bit and lean the needle up, and then probably have to do a little bit of modification to the needle to get it to fuel right. So let's dig in and get that underway. So we have this one finally ready for a test drive. Got it all dialed in. In the end I went for a BDR needle, left the yellow spring in there, but rained some fueling out of the top end, and obviously added a bit more fuel at part throttle. So yeah, this one's ready for a drive now, and hopefully the owner should notice quite a bit of difference. Okay, so the test drive revealed that the customer was very happy with the car. The combination of changing the piston damper and making the custom part throttle fueling on the needle meant that that engine drove very well, very responsive. So yeah, that was a job well done. So the next car is something a bit different. Let's get into some ignition mapping. So this one, we're in Fleet and we've got a beautiful car. So nice Clubman 1275 GT. All sorts of modifications on the interior. And today, unusually, we're doing a bit of mapping. So under the bonnet, we have a well-modified large bore based engine. So let's go and talk to the owner and find out a bit more about it. Okay, this is Jeremy and his son. All right, Jeremy. So why have you called us down today?
Well, we put the Mini together. We put together what we thought was a nice kind of fast roadish spec engine. Had some initial setup done on it. I made a decision to not put a distributor on it and went with the ignition only system from MED. I think we missed the trick when I had the initial setup done. It was set up in with a 2D map rather than taking advantage of the 3D map capabilities in it, and the engine was just really flat. Just had no get up and go on part throttle. So yeah, I called AC down to have a look at it. I think we've made some good progress this morning already. We've started to look at the 3D map and starting to do some much more clever things with the ignition. So I think we're on to fueling next, right?
Yeah, yeah, basically, as has already alluded to there, Jeremy's said that I'm already part way into this. So unusually, I've started with the ignition mapping, and that's purely to get some advance into it so I can actually make sure the carburetor is going to tune properly. Anyway, if you can let everybody know what's the spec of the engine.
Oh yeah, it's a 1293 spec with like a stage 2 head on it. Got an HIF 44 carb, like a fast road. I think it's called the Road Sport Cam from MED, with the ignition only kit on it. Yeah, so nothing too wild. We just wanted something with a little bit of poke, but it was still drivable.
1.5 rockers, or?
Yeah, 1.5 rockers.
Okay.
As this young man and his brother get a bit older and maybe want to do some auto solos or some sprinting in it.
Yeah.
I didn't want the engine too cammy for those guys. So yeah, it should be a nice drivable kind of setup.
Right, well in which case let's dig in and see if we can actually get some of that lovely drivability.
Yeah, great.
Excellent. Okay, so this one's a little bit different to what I would normally do. We haven't got a distributor, so we've got the mapped ignition, and we've got no coil because we've got a great big coil pack. So in this particular case, we don't have to worry about lack of spark energy. So we'll just put the appropriate plugs in and gap them nice and wide, so this engine runs good. Speaking of running good, this has got recessed nose plugs. I've never found these to be particularly good at running clean at part throttle, so we're going to change that to a projected nose plug, a normal type of spark plug. In terms of the heat rating, we're just running 7, so we'll just change the B7 to a BP7 ES, and then the engine should run a lot better. As you can see, we've got some richness on there, and also the tip is just starting to come up the normal colour, and that's because I've been already mapping this ready for tuning the carburetor, and the plugs have started to clean up already, although they're still black on the inside, because before I got here it was running very retarded timing. So got the plugs back in, all gapped at 40 thou. On this one there's nothing else to look at. Everything's working fine now. The engine starts up and runs. Got a little bit of hesitation, a little slight misfire as I open the throttle, but Although the owner says that this has been on the rolling road, I find it hard to believe because it's got a standard red spring in it and it's also got a standard BDL needle. So we need to look into what's going on there. Anyway, it appears to be that we've got a problem with the damper, so we'll start with that. So at least that starts to work, and then I'm going to put a yellow spring in and start with a new needle and go from there. So we're over on the needle lathe now, and just adjusting the fueling for part throttle running at about 3,000 RPM. The rest of it's not too bad, and then we're ready for a test drive. Okay, so we got ourselves all ready for the first test drive. Engine's responding well, fueling looks good. So first test drive, and then once he comes back, I'll find out anything that I need to know. And then it's probably next stage on this one is to go for a ride and do some mapping. Just pulled a spark plug after our test drive, and that looks awesome. So this one's all nice and finished. In essence, all we had to do with this one was change the spark plugs and then obviously do some mapping. So the main issue with this engine was its map. It also had the oil was much too thin in the dash pot. I didn't need a new damper in the end, so that's the existing damper. We just now changed to 2050 oil, put a yellow spring in the dash pot, and also changed the BDL to a BBA needle and then modified that. And then we got something that runs really well. So let's go and have a chat to the owner now and see what he thinks. Right, Jeremy, so you've been out in it now after the tune-up and all the mapping. What do you think?
I have. Well, it's like a different car, you know, so it puts a smile on your face and just feels like the car's lighter and so much more responsive. You just touch the throttle and it goes rather than having this dreadful flat spot. So yeah, very happy.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
Looking forward to driving it now the spring's here.
So you're yet another person that's had maybe a less than optimum experience with another rolling road. Please don't name them. But what do you think of this experience compared to that rolling road you last had?
Yeah, rather than make comparisons, as you say, I think the experience we've had today has been fantastic. You know exactly what you're doing there, and it's systematically working your way through the things you have on your list and correcting them as we went. So yeah, quite a few little things you did. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you bringing me down, and I appreciate the chance to get this lovely car working for you.
Very happy. Thank you so much.
I just want to finish up there saying I didn't get any footage of the mapping there. That was purely because I was in the car while the owner there was driving the car. So we drove it around for a good sort of half hour, 45 minutes while I finished off the map. I did part of the map was done on the drive, and then the rest of the map was actually done on the road. So we were mapping slow speed running right up to full power, obviously on an appropriate road. High speed road. So anyway, the results obviously speak for themselves, and the owner was very happy. So anyway, if anybody out there needs any ignition mapping done, then please get in contact, and as ever, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.